Hello, everyone. I'm just going to jump into what is the biggest problem with The Last Jedi, and no one is talking about it. I guess maybe nobody realizes what this problem is, but really it's just Luke Skywalker, right? And a lot of people have criticized Luke and The Last Jedi, saying, why would he give up on the Jedi Order? He wouldn't do that. And why would he give up on Ben Solo so quickly? Why would he try to kill him? And, people could have their problems with those aspects of the movie. But my issue is different. The thing is Luke gives up on the Jedi Order because Ben Solo turned to the dark side, and he feels responsible. Now, he gives up despite knowing that Obi-Wan Kenobi, who trained Luke Skywalker, who actually convinced him to learn the ways of the Force, and he knows that Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't give up on the Jedi Order, even though Luke's father turned to the dark side and became one of the most evil people in the galaxy, perhaps after the Emperor. So Luke knows all this. This is his father and the person who trained him in the ways of the Force initially. So it's like, what's Luke's excuse? If he knows that Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't give up, even though Anakin Skywalker turned evil, why would Luke give up, after Ben Solo turned evil and isn't even as big of a menace as Luke's father became to the galaxy? So it just doesn't make sense. And some people have told me, look, Luke didn't have the same kind of training that Obi-Wan Kenobi had. And sure, while that's true, you don't really need training. All you need is common sense. All you need is a memory. It really has nothing to do with how well or how poorly Luke Skywalker was trained in the Force or with the Jedi Order. All you have to do is just remember, you had a dad, that father turned to the dark side, and the person who trained your father didn't give up on the Jedi Order, even though the person he trained became one of the biggest menaces in the galaxy. So it just doesn't make sense. And even if he did forget that, which is like, how could you forget that? But even if he did forget that, where's Obi-Wan's ghost telling him, hey, look, I didn't turn to the dark side even though your father turned evil. I didn't give up on the Jedi Order even though your father turned evil. Yoda's ghost appears, but it's almost like, why did Yoda even wait so long? As soon as Luke decided he was going to give up on the Jedi Order, why wasn't Yoda there? Like, hey, look, Obi-Wan didn't give up. I didn't give up. Like, why should you give up? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just ridiculous. It's poor storytelling, And for me, when you get the character of Luke Skywalker wrong, that's it. Everything else doesn't matter. Like, some people say that their biggest complaint is like the Canto Bight scene, which sure, that's a boring scene. Some people have problems with the politics of the movie. Sure, but if you get Luke Skywalker wrong, to me, that's game over. Everything else could have been the same, but if they got the character of Luke Skywalker right, I still probably would have walked out of the theater at least satisfied. But for me, you screwed up the character of Luke Skywalker, and I'm done. Other people have a critique of what I had said when I told them this. Because it's been a year since The Last Jedi came out, so. And I'll get to the reason why I waited a whole year before I made this video. But, I had talked to people about my thoughts on this. And some people said, well, Obi-Wan and Yoda actually did give up on the Jedi Order because, they weren't really doing anything according to these people. Right. But I was like, look, they did not give up on the Jedi Order. They went into hiding. If you actually watch the preceding movies, they didn't give up on the Jedi Order. Like Obi-Wan, was responsible for getting Luke and Leia to someplace safe, where they wouldn't be found by Darth Vader or the Emperor. So he was responsible for doing that. He looked after Luke, and then of course he convinced Luke to learn the ways of the Force. Yoda, again, he also went into hiding. And then even though he was reluctant to train Luke at first, it wasn't because he gave up on the Jedi Order. It's just because he thought that Luke was too old to be trained. But that was it. And once Obi-Wan convinced Yoda otherwise, then yeah, Yoda trained Luke in further in the ways of the Force. So that argument doesn't hold up to any scrutiny either. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I do want to address why I waited a whole year. I told myself that it's not that important to make a video about what I feel is the biggest criticism of The Last Jedi, but it's been bothering me pretty much like every day for this whole year, and I just figured might as well just make a video out of this and get some closure out of this issue, and so maybe I'll get it out of my head now, and then if people want to comment on this, I'd love to hear what people have to say, and thank you for listening.